We are continuing with the study of the article from the book Vedanta in Practice. The article is Refining the Ego.
So, four methods. Four methods are recommended to control or refine the ego. They're technical terms: appealing method, dilatation method, alchemic method, and the not I but thou method. Before launching upon this process, first admit to yourself that you have got egotism. Very few are able to admit that. Most will say, I'm all right. It is they who are arrogant. This saying, I am all right, shows egotism. Be aware that now and then you are arrogant. There is no harm in being so if you remember to be mindful of this and admit it. Humility is required if you want to improve yourself.
If somebody say you are arrogant, you are proud, or immediately we get so upset and angry because we think we are all right. We don't have egotism because we don't have arrogance. The very fact that I don't have arrogance shows that you have. Otherwise, you will let me down. Not all the time, but sometimes I'm proud, I'm arrogant, some egotistic. And then if you can admit that at least once in a while you are prone to all these things, then there is chance that you will improve. Otherwise, there is no chance of improving. If you think you are already perfect, there is nothing more to correct or improve. So when somebody points out some mistake, just analyze, is it true? Did I do something wrong? Or was I wrong in that? Then I admit and then improve, correct. But what we often do is, no, I was correct. We don't want to admit our mistake to ourselves even, not just speak of other people. Only if you are conscious and alert, then you know you made a mistake. You are not all right. And then you will be able to improve, correct yourself and improve. Otherwise, you will stay where you are. Because you think, oh, you're already perfect. There's nothing more to correct, nothing more to improve, no more going forward. You are stuck there because you think that you're all right. That's why here Maharaji says humility is required if you want to improve yourself. Not that you cringe, oh, I did a very wrong thing. No, I did something wrong. It was wrong. I'll try to do better next time. I'll try not to do or behave in such a way, and can then move forward.
So this is very good in the spiritual realm, but in the everyday life realm, sometimes you have to promote yourself, sell yourself to get the job, to get the contract, to get by. So how do you, there's got to be some kind of awareness there. It's almost like you're playing a game. If you want to be hold to your spiritual values,
you have to show through your action that you are capable. Just by simply you say something you are capable and you put in your all your records to show, and then in your behavior you do show it differently, then that's not going to help you in any way. And saying that you are capable of these things, there's difference between that and arrogance. Arrogance is when somebody is saying that this is not the right thing, then you argue, fight with the person, or try to pull somebody else who is going forward. That's all arrogance. But showing your capability to promote your case, that you are doing fact, so long as you are not exaggerating. That's you need that. If you sit there quietly without saying, somebody will recognize my capability and then give me a promotion, it may happen, but maybe a long time later. You may have to wait for a long time.
And I think it's an irony in social situations where the egoistic person, they want attention and they want to be liked and admired. And yet, so to do that, invariably, they'll be talking about themselves a lot. And they usually then become the most boring person
Yes.
for others. Whereas if you're doing something as simple as listening to someone and showing interest and asking questions about them and their life and what they do, you can very easily become the most liked person
Yes.
without having to actually do much at all.
In a group of people, you put the person in front of you as the most important person, not me. Ask about them and how they are doing, what is happening with them. Then they will feel happy, of course. And if you are talking about all the time about yourself, people try to avoid you. Or then we'll say, again, we start the record. We'll see that what you have achieved, what you have done, where you have gone. I heard it so many times. We'll say that.
I think also it's a sign of good culture, isn't it? That's actually, apart from egoism, egotistical or not, it's good culture anyway, to show interest in people.
And one of the most important thing now is giving a patient listening to another person. Somebody has got some problem. The best help we can give is give patient listening. People don't have time. I heard that in early days, people used to go to their GP, not always for some illness, but just to talk. And GPs had time. Now they don't have time. They have got only so many small amount of the fixed time. Then you have to go to the next patient. So where will you talk? To whom will you unburden your problems? Nobody. That's a big problem now, especially for the elderly who are staying all by themselves. So listening, giving your time is a great help.
And I don't know, I've got into a habit where if I am talking about myself, I try to get to the point pretty quickly. And then I watch the other person, and this quite often happens, especially nowadays, people can be so scattered. You're watching them and you'll see at some point they're no longer listening to you.
Yes.
And then I get the cue, the social cue, okay, that's enough.
Yes, that's true, yes.
Yeah. It's not very complicated, actually. There's a little bit of self-awareness. Any questions, comments on this one while we move on? The first method in this process is the peeling method, which Sri Ramakrishna recommends. Giving onion as an example, he says, when you take away the layers of the onion one by one, and go inside to see the real strength of the onion, that which gives life to the next plant, you will see nothing there. But there is some power or energy there which is waiting to sprout as the next plant. Similarly, go on peeling this eye and look within. Try to find out where the real I is. Such introspection is not easy, but there are different methods recommended. What is good for me may not be good for you. We have to choose what suits us. How do we introspect? Shankaracharya tells us in his Nirvana Shatakam, I am not the mind, nor the intellect, nor the ego. In this way, we analyze, am I the mind? I am said to be immortal, effulgent, of magnificent beauty, but my mind is not like that. My mind gets muddled. It is sad, angry, upset. So I am not the mind. In this way, we find that I am not the mind, nor the buddhi, nor the ahamkara. Then what remains is Atman.
Peeling one by one, the outermost, the body and the senses. So that's what we identify with first. When we say I, we always mean the body and then the mind, the intellect, all that. So the psychophysical system, peeling off one by one. I'm not the mind, let's start with the physical thing. I'm not the eyes, I'm not the ears, the five senses. Because I say always my body, so that very fact, the very word, my body, expression shows that I'm not the body. I'm different from the body. My eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, my skin. I'm not all those things. I'm different from them. Then what am I? Go inside. So physical things gone. So go deep inside the mind. My mind. Again, it's my mind. I'm different from the mind. My buddhi, my intellect. I'm different from the intellect, the buddhi. Then what am I? You go, and then you come to a stage. I'm not all those things. Then what remains? That's all. Just like in the onion, you peel off one by one, then you don't see anything. But that is what brings the next plant. In the same way, you peel off the body, the senses, the mind, the intellect, the ego. You come to that. What is that? We cannot say. We call it Atman. But can we see it? Seeing with this eye. I'm not that. The eye is given the power because that is there. The ears are given the ability to hear because the I is there. The ego is, and the Atman is there. So how can something which gives power can be seen? It cannot be seen. But that is the real I. And it is immortal. Because everybody says I. That is, it was there from the moment we are born. As soon as we are able to express, we start saying I. And the body has changed completely. Our mind has changed. The way we think, our intellect has changed. But that one thing has remained. The I hasn't changed. When we were a baby, when we were a toddler, we said I. Now, as a youth, we said I. Old person, I. The same I is continuing. That's why they say it's immortal. When the body dies, then it goes to and take in another body, still continuing. It's the immortal, effulgent. Not like the mind, which is changing all the time, the intellect, which is get confused, muddled. No. It is effulgent, magnificent beauty, it's pure awareness.
Any comments, questions on this one?
Kannan.
Gayatriprana, when you said the I, and it can migrate, once you pass, you migrate into another body. Does this I include the mind and the intellect too? Or is this something very different? So we have a mind and an intellect that allows us to perceive what we perceive now. But if we pass away and if through reincarnation we move forward into another body, does that, what moves with it, also the same mind and the same intellect?
Yes, that is called the subtle body. When the Atman, the soul, leaves the physical body, they say it takes the subtle body and goes. And the subtle body consists of the mind, intellect, the mind stuff, ego. All this form the subtle body, antakarana. And that goes with the soul. And that is why children born in the same family has different taste, different temperament, brought up by the same parents, brought up in the same way, but they behave differently. Why? Because they have brought something from the previous life, and that comes with the subtle body. The mind, all the impressions that we have collected, and the intellect, all goes to the next body. And otherwise, why do we have called these child prodigies? Very, very young age, one child is extremely intelligent in some particular field, the other ones are ordinary, of the same parents. How will you explain that? It has brought from previous life. We don't start life with a blank slate. We have already got something. We just continue from what we did in a previous life and go forward from there. So when the soul leaves the body, the Atman leaves the body, the mind, the intellect, and all the impressions goes with that.
Obviously, it's like if this is a continuum, and we can remember what we did yesterday, so why is it that we can't remember what happened in the previous life? I know it must be inbuilt, so in order for our better health in this life.
But do we remember everything that we did in this life?
No.
No. We can't remember what we did when we were children. And suppose you remember, you'll have so much of problem. We can't cope with one set of parents, one set of spouses, one set of children. And imagine you had all the sets of parents, spouses, and children from all the previous lives. In a second, you'll go mad. So it's a good thing that we don't remember. Even there are rare cases where, like young children, when they're really small, they remember their previous lives. But then as they grow, maybe for 5 years, they forget everything. The Maya comes and drops the curtain, which is good for our survival.
All right, we might move on if there's something more. The light of life. All these go to sleep, but Atman does not sleep. Sri Ramakrishna once asked Latu Maharaj, Swami Adbhutananda, a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, does your Rama sleep? He then continued, he doesn't. He keeps himself awake. That is why we are all able to sleep. His light is shining always. From the moment life enters the body till life leaves it, the light shines in our heart, the light of the world, the light of life, the energy of humanity shines brightly. That is what I am. Analyze like this before you go into meditation and try to visualize a bright, beautiful, silvery light or golden orange light in the innermost core of your heart. That is your real nature. analyze that I am neither the intellect, nor the instincts, nor the emotions, then nothing will remain except the peeler. When I do the peeling, I find I am that.
The body goes to sleep. The senses are all at rest. Of course, the internal organs, all the nervous system, everything is working. Even when we have in deep sleep, there is the Atman which is always awake, the watching, the silent observer. That's why we say after a good sleep, I had a good sleep. I had a good sleep. So who said you had a good sleep? There was somebody who was observing. I can say you are sleeping, I'm calling you, but you don't hear. Then you can say, I can say you had a good sleep because I called you, didn't hear. But when we wake up, we say, I had a good sleep. So who said that I had a good sleep? There was somebody watching, and that watching person, entity, is the Atman. And here Sri Ramakrishna asked Latu. Latu was massaging Sri Ramakrishna's legs. Maybe he was feeling a bit sleepy. So Sri Ramakrishna asked, Latu, does your Rama sleep? Because he was a devotee of Rama. Latu said, I don't know. Then he said, no, he doesn't sleep. Because he keeps awake, we are able to sleep. He watches over us while we sleep. So Latu was surprised. He is watching over us. He doesn't sleep. No, he doesn't sleep. God doesn't sleep. He is watching over us so that we can sleep in peace without any disturbance. That entity which is watching over us is not outside somewhere, it's within us. It is within us, is always there, shining. And why do we always associate the Atman or God with light? Because knowledge is always light. Knowledge illuminates things. Knowledge gives us idea, understanding of things. So that is why knowledge is always associated with light. Ignorance is darkness. Nobody wants to be in darkness. In darkness, if the complete dark, even at night, we cannot get complete darkness now because so much of light pollution. Suppose there is no light, no electric light. Just as in Robertson, when we go, if you turn off all the lights and it's a dark, cloudy night, otherwise there's a star's light will be there, then it's pitch dark. But still, we are conscious of our existence. Nobody can say, we're in the pitch dark. So you are asking, is there anybody in the room? Then the reply will, yes, I am. How did you know who I am there? Because awareness is always there. And that is light. And we don't want darkness. We immediately try to bring in some light. We want the light. Always we want knowledge. And that Atman is the source of all knowledge. So we always associate Atman with light, brightness. We don't want ignorance, which is associated with darkness. So that's here Mataji is saying, imagine before you visualize, before you sit for meditation, that bright light is within us. In meditation, is a lot of imagination is there. Oh, when we say, oh, it's only imagination, no, we start with the imagination and slowly it becomes a reality. That's why we try to visualize if the form of God or just the light within us. Then slowly, as you go on practicing, it becomes a reality. You will be able to see it. either the light or the form of God, that you are trying to visualize. In the beginning, it's imagination, but it becomes a reality after some time. That light is within us.
All right, let's move on. The second is the dilatation method. Ego creates misery and a sense of separateness as it limits our movement, physical, mental, and intellectual. But the Atman is infinite and happiness is infinite. So the power of the Atman, the joy of the Atman, the happiness that is already within, does not find adequate means to express itself when the ego comes and hides it. Expand the ego to infinite dimensions. I am that. This is the dilatation method. I'm just wondering, where did Mataji get this from?
I don't know. I have no idea. Expand the ego. Expand the ego to infinite dimension. When we expand the ego to infinite dimension, you will be having infinite joy, infinite, because you are feeling the happiness of all, because you are covering everybody. All the happiness of all those people you are feeling. At the same time, you will feel the sadness also, because you are expanding the ego and you are covering everybody within you. So those people's happiness and misery you will be feeling. Is it here, Swamiji's? There is few incidents in the life of Sri Ramakrishna we can see. Sri Ramakrishna felt when two boatmen were fighting in the Ganga and one gave a slap to another one, he felt it on his back because his ego was covering the whole area. Another time, somebody was walking over the grass, the lawn, and he felt as though somebody is trampling on his chest. In the case, Swami Vivekananda was here when he was in the Himalayas, he was climbing a hill. And suddenly he said, "Oh, my knee." The companions couldn't understand what happened to your knee. Nothing happened. He said, "My hurting." Then he said, one of them, "You go up and see on the other side what happened." And the person climbed up and saw one of these hill tribal lady. She was carrying a lot of firewood on her back, and she stumbled and fell down, and her knee has sprained. So on the other side of the hill, but Swamiji felt it. So his ego was pervading the whole. That is expanding the ego to infinite dimension. You feel the happiness and also at the same time misery, or joy and misery, both will feel. But that's in expand. The little ego, we are confined, we are bound by that. But if you can reduce the ego to infinitely small, then you can escape also. Girish Chandra Ghosh used to say, the Maya, the great delusion, right, has thrown her net and we are all caught in that. Two people escaped. One is Naga Mahasaya. He reduced his ego to such small that he slipped through the meshes of the net. And Vivekananda, he expanded his ego to such great extent that the net could not contain him. So we had to do either make it very small, extremely small, that you can escape through the meshes of the net of Maya, otherwise expand to infinite dimension so that you won't be caught. But we are all caught in the net. As Sri Ramakrishna says, the fourth type of, when the fisherman throws the net, a lot of fish are caught in the net. Most of them go deep into the bottom of the lake with the net, think that, and burrow themselves in the mud, think that they are safe. We are quite safe here. Some of them try to escape, but very few are successful. A few of them jump out of the net, and then the fisherman will say, oh, there goes a big fish. But there are few who are never caught. They're so clever that they are never caught in the net. And Sri Ramakrishna says, those people, like that, there are 4 types of people. Some are never caught in the net of Maya, and they are the ever free. Then there are many are caught, some, and among the many caught, few try to escape. And they are the struggling souls, spiritual seekers, struggling to get freedom from the bondage of Maya. And very few, very, very few get freedom. They are the realized souls. And those with burrowing themselves into the mud with the net, they are the bound souls. They think we are fine. We are happy. We have got our family, we have got our children, we have got our wealth. They don't know. Any moment, the death will come and take them. There are all these 4 types are there. The bound souls, the struggling ones, the realized ones, and the ever free, who are never caught in the net of Maya.
I like where Mataji mentions here, ego creates misery and a sense of separateness, and it limits you. And I guess maybe we've experienced that if you're very egotistical, then you're not very good at connecting with other people because you're so wrapped up in yourself.
Yeah.
And then that sort of mentality, well, misery, and even it could lead, you would think you're more prone to even depression if you get too many blows, things going against you and your big ego. And then I think if you've ever been in a depressed state of mind, well, I've noticed your whole world contracts.
Yeah.
So you're totally absorbed in you and what you're not happy about and how you're feeling. So I can relate to that limitation.
Yeah, all
You're
self-centered
very
around,
limited.
centered around oneself. So what you are not having, what you are missing, what somebody did to you, everything negative. When you have become contracting, yes.
And you don't notice the world around you anymore. You're just so in this negative kind of cloud.
Yes.
And I know I can see why they say one of the best, but people who've got chronic depression, they'll advise them to go and do some service, get out into the community,
Yeah.
serve people, and it takes them out of their own head.
Then you'll get to see that there are people in worse condition than yours and still being happy. You can see that. But otherwise, you have got all the things, the privilege, but still you are so self-centered that you feel one small thing is gone wrong. The whole world is against you.
All right. Oh.
Okay. Gayatriprana, you mentioned about expanding the ego, and I'm trying to visualize what that really means. Is that, for example, Swami Vivekananda being able to connect to feel the pain of the other person on the other side without even seeing that person? Does expanding the ego really mean that ego is a very individualistic concept, it's all about centered on you. But what I want to know is, when you say you're expanding the ego, is it like, can you imagine it like bubbles of oil in water where they just pump together and to become one big bubble, or what is it? I don't quite visualize it.
The little bubble has broken and become one with the ocean. The little I, confined within this psychophysical system, has broken that and become one with the infinite. And so I feel everybody's happiness and misery. Expanding to infinite dimension.
It can be even like ego is identified with this one body and mind. That's the very, very narrow, very limited thing you can say. Then the ego can be connected to collective, community, your own group. If anything happens to our devotees, immediately we feel the pain. Why? We feel they are part of us. So their suffering is our suffering. We do really feel something happens. Might not be somebody else. Not that. For example, one of our brahmachari was traveling from Calcutta to Arunachal Pradesh. There was an accident, and our General Secretary Mataji was terribly worried. And suddenly she told me, "Look, in that train there are so many people. So many might have gone through the thing, but I'm so concerned only with her. Why is that?" Then she said, "Look, she belongs to Sri Ramakrishna. She is the closest person. So that is why this attachment. But in a general way, we all feel. But to certain extent, because we feel they're close to us, that's it. So this ego, you can expand it to your own community, then to your neighbors. So slowly we start expanding, trying to feel our connectedness with our community, the congregation, then as a human being with our communities, and slowly we expand to the country and to the humanity. Like that, you start. Your feeling is called expansion. If you feel you're expanding and you do not feel any feeling for it, it's nothing. It can express itself through this feeling. We feel the pain of the suffering of we identify with them, and we can feel that pain and try our best, whatever we can from our own perspective, from our thing we do, this sort of feeling will come. That is how it's one of the expression of expansion of the ego.
All right, well, we'll move on. There's quite a few slides remaining. Beyond the Vedas, once Shankaracharya went to Mandana Mishra, who was among the foremost observers of Vedic rituals. Shankaracharya sought to declutch people from such practices and acquaint them with pure Vedanta and true spirituality. Mandana Mishra was also a spiritually advanced soul. One day he was conducting the Shraddha, rites performed for departed souls, of his father. Suddenly he sensed that a sannyasin was coming, and as that was considered inauspicious, he asked the people to shut the gate. But Shankaracharya, through his yogic power, entered the courtyard. Mandana Mishra boiled with fury, seeing him, and asked, "From where did this shaven head sannyasin come?" Shankaracharya very calmly and quietly said, "From the neck. It came from the neck." Mandana Mishra's ego, arising from all his knowledge and spiritual accomplishments, prevented him from moving beyond Vedic rituals. Shankaracharya came to debate with him and convince him about the path of knowledge.
Shankaracharya's mission was to re-establish Advaita. And so there were so many different schools of philosophy at that time. And Mandana Mishra was one of the leaders of the Vedic rituals, Karma Kanda. We have to do all these particular rituals in this way. They were very elaborate rituals and very bound or sticking to the details. And Shankaracharya wanted to debate with him. In those days, the the condition for the debate is, or was, if the defeated party in the debate, defeated party will accept the theory proposed by the winner and accept, completely take his position, accept that. So Shankaracharya is holding on the Advaitic standpoint, and Mandana Mishra, Vedic rituals. He is a householder. So the condition is if Mandana Mishra is defeated in the argument, he will accept Advaita philosophy and the greatness of Advaita and will become a monk, monastic. If Shankaracharya is defeated, he will accept the superiority of Vedic rituals and become a householder. So somebody has to be the judge, the referee, to decide whose argument is going to be winning. And Shankaracharya selected Mandana's wife as the referee. That shows what a great person, or how much knowledgeable person she was. Her name was Ubhaya Bharati. Shankara himself recognized her greatness and put her as the referee. And of course, in the argument, Shankara easily defeated Mandana Mishra, and Mandana Mishra had to accept, and he became a monk. But here as when he came in there, because he was conducting the Shraddha ceremony, and monks are not, is inauspicious there for that. So Mandana got really angry and asked, where did the shaven head come? And Shankara, you have to remember, Shankara was a teenager at that time. He, with the naughtiness of a teenager, instead of giving a proper answer, he said from the neck, just to increase his annoyance. So Mandana Mishra got some more annoyed hearing this silly answer. Oh, where did the shaven head come? Can't you see from the neck? But then what do you want? The alms he asked for was alms of debate. Monks go asking for alms from the householders. But here, the alms Shankara wanted was alms of debate. And then he had to agree to that, and that was the result. He had to become a monk, accepted Shankara's Advaita philosophy.
No continuous pleasure. Chandogya Upanishad states, Sukham or happiness is only in the infinite. There is no happiness in small things. That is true, but it is in small things that we seek pleasure, and we always want to change. Otherwise, we get bored. The Upanishads say that we cannot have continuous joy, continuous pleasure in the small things around us. It is only in the infinite. That is why Shankaracharya chants, I have no form or fancy, the all-pervading am I. Everywhere I exist, and yet I am beyond the senses. Neither salvation am I, nor anything to be known. I am eternal bliss, awareness. I am Shiva, I am Shiva.
The happiness is only in the infinite. Here, happiness is not the ordinary happiness that we speak of. It is bliss. Because when we say happiness and misery come together. That's why Swami Vivekananda says, happiness comes to man wearing the crown of misery. They are the two sides of the same coin. But infinite happiness, bliss, there is no misery. Because it is beyond happiness and misery. That's a stage, because that is our real nature. That's why we try to get happiness. But we look for it in the wrong place. We look at it in small things, external things, in things we can easily accessible. in relations, family, wealth, our different activities. We think we get happiness from that. We get, but for a short time, very short time. Even when we are enjoying the happiness, the back of the mind, there is the idea that this is going to come to an end. So that thought gives a bit of sadness. And when it really comes, stops, ends, and it's again back to misery. So happiness we get in small things. But there is a big happiness there. Infinite happiness is there. So the scriptures are asking, why don't you go for that infinite happiness, which doesn't end, with no end to that happiness. And it's not sliding back into the misery. Go for that. And for that, we went to the earlier, the method of feeling. Not, I'm not this, I'm not this. I am that infinite Atman. Then you get when you reach that, then you get infinite happiness. Because Atman is existence, knowledge, bliss. And here, when he say, I'm eternal bliss, awareness, I'm Shiva. Shiva is not the deity that we worship. No. Here, when we say Shiva is auspiciousness, bliss, truth. Another term that we use for Brahman, usually we say Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda. Another term is Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Truth, truthfulness or truth, auspiciousness. Shiva is auspiciousness. And Sundaram, beauty. Beauty, love, bliss. I am that. I'm not the small one. I'm not the little happiness that I get. No, I'm that infinite bliss, which never ends.
Yeah, it reminds me they have a term, hedonic adaptation, where when you acquire some new object, you get that initial excitement and pleasure, like a new car. And then you'll find if you observe yourself after a while, you can't quite maintain that initial happiness.
You get used to it.
It fades a bit. But then I like what Marie Kondo says. She's the queen of decluttering. So she says you keep those things that give you joy. I mean, there are things, okay, you may not have that when you first get that initial spark of happiness, but things can give you joy, we could say. Well, I mean, getting back to a car, I mean, people can love their car and they get continual joy from it or happiness. It can happen. But then you can't quite match the initial feeling.
Yes.
But still, you can't get ongoing joy from things.
But ongoing joy is still within our lifetime. And if you look up there from the higher standpoint, our lifetime is very, very small in time.
Brings it out. Good.
What brings joy to you at one time may not bring joy at other time. Even people whom you think you can't live without them, in the end, you move away from them. See, the person is same. But the joy, so everything is outside. But here what the scripture said, don't depend. Reduce your dependence on the matter. That is what, because the source is from you. It is you who give the value for it. Outside thing by itself, it is not that. It's I who give the value. If it is needed, if not, there's a saying in Sanskrit, nisprahasya trinam jagat. For a person of a detached person, the world is just a straw. The saying in Sanskrit, nisprahasya, who has no desire. For him, the world is nothing but a grass, is straw. He doesn't care. So there's no joy from anything. Nothing will give him joy except his own self. So joy is not from others, it's from us.
With over-the-air updates, your car can give you greater pleasure.
That's also for a short time.
That's another, as you were talking this and using the analogy of peeling onions to get to your true self, then you experience the joy. And what I wanted to understand is, I've heard this so many times. Is it that when you get to that state, then you then have access to that joy? Or is it that when you keep on peeling and getting to that true self, that is joy itself? Is there a difference, or is the other?
That process is the process itself gives joy, because you're getting closer and closer. And then when you are when you have peeled off, then you are there. You are that. You realize you're oneness with that. Then you are bliss. But as in the process itself, you are feeling joy, because you are moving closer and closer. So you can see those people who are highly spiritual, they're always radiate joy. In the Holy Mother used to say about Sri Ramakrishna, she never saw a morose face. She was always happy. And the gospel you can see, almost every second page you can see loud laughter. Everybody's laughing. And Swami Brahmananda, one of the main chief disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he led his life full of joy and giving joy to others. They have all touched that. And as those people, even those are their realized souls, but even those who are striving for that, they are also full of, they are getting more joy, because they are nearing that state of bliss.
So it's just the process of getting to that brings about the joy.
Yes.
And ultimately
you become one with joy, with bliss.
Can't imagine such things at this point.
No, it's beyond our imagination. We had to, but through that we had to struggle a lot. In the early stages, it is struggle. Struggle is with our own mind.
Okay.
Robert?
With the meditation, he sees the sannyasi is coming, and that time he is such an advanced soul, as you say, Vedanta wise. So why he felt that the sannyasis are inauspicious? And second thing, he didn't realize with such a advanced soul, he said Lord himself is coming to debate, and why he was avoiding it.
See, he was spiritually advanced, but he was still stuck in the rituals, Vedic rituals. And that's what Shankaracharya wanted to get him out of that. So because he was stuck in, see, we may be progressing, but somewhere we get stuck. So if you are a sincere seeker after the truth, then some guide will come to get you out of that situation and may help you to progress. And for those who are following the Vedic rituals, the sannyasi is outside the limit of Veda. So that's why sannyasi's presence is inauspicious. For the
Consider that time as inauspicious.
Yes. The presence of a sannyasi in their funeral rites or wedding is all inauspicious.
The So the infinite joy. So it is more like a temptation to keep us into Maya.
Yes, yes. Sri Ramakrishna says there's bales and bales of, no, sorry, sacks and sacks of rice is there in the granary. But the people, the farmers keep a little bit of puffed rice mixed with jaggery near those bags. And the rat come and they enjoy the puffed rice and the jaggery and ignore the bags of rice. But with a handful of the rice, we can make a lot of jaggery, the puffed rice. So the Lord is giving us a little bit of small amounts of pleasure, and we are ignoring the infinite pleasure. So we have to consciously turn away from these little pleasures and turn to the highest one.
All right, so we will move on. So a few slides. Aware of oneness. Repeat so hum every day while sitting for meditation for 2 minutes. When you breathe in, say so. When you breathe out, say hum silently. Breathe silently, saying so hum 3 times. Then the mind calms down. Keep your awareness on what you are saying. I am that. I am the infinite. I am Shiva. I am eternal bliss. Just keep your thoughts for a few seconds on that and then start your meditation. You will soon notice a wonderful difference in yourself. The Upanishad further says, what delusion, what sorrow can there be for that wise man who realizes the unity of all existence by perceiving all beings as his own self? In that person who is aware of the oneness of the whole universe, there is no I. A drop in the ocean has 2 identities. When it identifies itself as a drop, it remains limited. When it identifies with the vast ocean, what happiness, expanse, and freedom it gets. That same freedom we get when we repeat Soham. It takes just 2 seconds. It's not difficult. All of us can try. This is the dilatation method of refining our ego.
Yes, Soham, I am that. Sa aham. I am that. I am that. We are not saying I am he or she, because I am the infinite Atman that is beyond. Gender is only for the body. I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I am that. Go on repeating that. Then we get out of our limited identification. As the drop. We are no longer the drop. I'm no longer the one, somebody limited, identifying with the body, mind, intellect. It's my psychophysical system. I'm the infinite Atman. I'm identifying with the ocean. Anybody can try it and see. It's not that it's only for some particular people. Everybody can try that. Just repeat, I am that, I am that.
Transform to gold. The alchemic method. Alchemy is the science that believed baser metals like iron, lead, copper, etc. could be transformed into gold. We can use this method on ourselves. Our personality, aham, ego, which is crude and rough, can be transformed by the touch of God's breath. Remember, the Lord is seated in our heart, and my crude I is there in front, and the Lord breathes into it. Our I is immediately transformed into a finer form, gentle and divine. In meditation, we can visualize this for a few seconds. Or, as Sri Ramakrishna says, we can also cultivate a relationship with God saying, I am the servant of God, I am the handmaid of God.
They believe that using these alchemy base metals could be turned to gold, iron, lead, copper. They say when Totapuri, the teacher of Sri Ramakrishna, who taught Advaita Vedanta and initiated him to sannyasa, he knew his monastery, they used to do that whenever needed, not for selfish purposes. All these things, these powers of extra knowledge, they use for the welfare of others. And it says that Totapuri's monastery, the head monk always, whoever the head monk, he knew the secret of alchemy, how to turn the baser metals into gold. And they used it only when in extreme circumstances, when they were going on pilgrimage and there was dire need for money, then they used this. And then when the next person became the head, he was, that knowledge just transferred to that person, but not to everybody else. And another thing, when it's changed to gold, say a sword, steel sword, so touching the philosopher's stone, changed to gold, it no longer can do any harm. When the baser metal is changed to gold, the iron is made with gold, it does not harm anyone. So in the same way, when ego is changed by the breath of God, then it becomes, the crude ego becomes gentle, finer, and does not harm. It becomes, as Sri Ramakrishna says, the ripe ego. Earlier it was unripe ego, egotism, full of arrogance, pride. I'm so powerful, I'm great. And then when this happened, changed to gold, then the ego becomes the ripe ego. I'm a child of God, I'm a servant of God, I'm a devotee of God. Does not harm any, it's in a right place, does not harm anybody. It leads the person to God, helps on.
The final slide, for this session. Little I eradication. Hanuman, we all know, had adopted the attitude of a servant of the Lord. He jumped across the strait between Lanka and India in one great leap. The great rishis once asked him how he had managed to do that. He said, I didn't do that. I just removed all Hanumanness from within me and filled it with Ramahood, and it was Rama who jumped. My little I got absorbed in Sri Rama's personality, and he did the job. When we see a balloon in the sky, we say that the balloon is rising, but it is the hydrogen inside making it rise. If we can eradicate our little I from within and fill it with Godhood, we can also do wonderful things like Hanuman.
Yeah. Hanuman is the greatest example of the servant attitude. We have different, in path of devotion, we have got, we can have different attitudes towards God. Child, friend, servant, parent. All the human relations that we know, we can apply to God. But Hanuman is the best example of a servant attitude. He always considered himself as a servant of Sri Rama. And here, Rama asked him to go searching for Sita. All the monkey armies went in all directions, but Rama called him and gave him his signet ring to show to Sita, because he knew Hanuman will be meeting Sita wherever she is. He didn't say to anybody else, but he gave to Hanuman. And Hanuman, when they came to know is across the sea in Sri Lanka, how to cross the ocean, how to cross the sea. There is no bridge. And each one said, I can only jump this much, only this much. And Hanuman was the only one who could say, yes, I can jump. The crown prince, Angada, said, I can jump one way, but I don't think I'll have strength to come back. So what's the point? Only going there and finding Sita, but they had to come back and give the news information. And Hanuman was the only one who could do that. And he did. And then this is how he says, I removed my Hanumanness and filled with Rama. And Rama did the job. That's a servant of the master. The servant is just an instrument. The tool, just tool in the hand of God. That is, there's no ego. Egotism completely disappears. There's one more, the last method is still there that we'll go next book club.
The yoga class recommences this Thursday. You're always welcome to attend. That's from 10 to 11:15 a.m. On Friday, we'll have the spiritual evening discussion led by Gayatriprana. Then remember, next Sunday, we have special celebration, the Guru Purnima celebration. It will include a PowerPoint presentation, images from our Vedanta archives of people, places, events from the 2001 up to 2010. There'll be a talk by Gayatriprana, open forum for members and friends, and it will conclude with lunch. And in the evening, Gayatriprana will be conducting via Microsoft Teams the monthly Bhagavad Gita class. Please note too, I'm going to be away for a few weeks after next Sunday, so there will be no Friday night discussions from 7th to 21st of August. And there won't be any option to zoom into the talks while I'm away. The free Sunday talks, 9th, 16th, 23rd of August. 30th of August, we've got the annual general meeting. I'll be reminding you about that. And on Sunday, the 13th of September, we're going to be staging a special event at the Zenith Theatre in Chatswood. There will be a 1-hour play. There'll be classical dance. There'll be music and song and a 1-hour play. You'll hear a lot more about that, all in honor of him. Sarod, yeah, we'll have our friend Tanim will be there with Sarod. So we'll be telling you more about that, especially from next Sunday. I think we'll really need to start highlighting that and promoting it. Tickets will be on sale soon, I would expect. So now we'll conclude with the guided meditation.